Hello everyone, welcome to Dickson's Java 101 tutorial 24. And today I'm going to teach you how to write a program to check passwords. So I've written some criteria for a password. So for example, a password must have at least 8 characters. A password consists of only letters and digits. A password must contain at least 2 characters or digits. So today I'm going to teach you how to write a program that the user has to enter a password to meet these 3 fundamental criteria. And we're going to use a lot of methods in this tutorial. It's like a recap of methods. So first of all, I've created a project and I wrote the closing main and closing class. To write a method again, we have to put it after the closing main. I'm going to write a method stating the string that says get password. So let's start. So I'll go public static string, because a password is a group of letters or numbers, which is considered as a string data type. And I'm just going to call it the get password method. Okay, and then I'm going to put closing get password method. Good. Now I'm going to create a library. So this is something new I'm going to teach you. It's called import java.util.star. Before I said scanner, and today I'm going to just use star. And star is a group of libraries. There's a group of libraries, which is very useful. So I'm going to create a scanner here. Scanner input equal new scanner system.in. So once I create a scanner, I'm going to create a string result. So I'm going to create a variable that has a data type of string because we want a group of letters and numbers again. So we're just going to simply print out these instructions to the user, okay? So SYSO, please create a password. And then we're going to ask them, saying a password must have at least 8 characters. A password consists of only letters and digits. So it cannot have like a hyphen or a star or percent sign, okay? Good. And lastly, like I said, a password must contain at least two. So it's gonna a password must contain at least 2. Good. So once we have the instructions, we're gonna create an input data type again because we will put the user input into this variable. We just have to go recap result is equal to input dot next. Okay, this is something new. Before we usually put int next int or int double. Because result is a string, we're just gonna put print line with a capital L. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a comment here. User enters the password into a string. Good. And this is something new as well, which I'm going to teach you. Just go input.close, which is just closing the method dot close. And since, remember, public static string or public static that is not void, this is a string, we have to return result. So we just have to return the result back into get password. Good. So we've got the user input and instructions. Now we have to create password. Good. A character must have at least 8 characters. So now we are using if and else statements and creating variables whether this password the user entered is correct or not. So remember the data type Boolean. Boolean tells us if it's true or false. So I'm just going to create a Boolean method, which is public static Boolean. And this one you have to return result as well because it's not void. Public static Boolean data type. I'm just going to call it valid password. I'm going to create a method. This is my method to determine whether the password is correct or not. So I'm going to put string into my curly brackets because this is what the valid password, the method is going to check what string. And I'm just going to create the string password later at the top in the main. But just bear with me in the method. Open bracket, closing bracket. Just go closing valid password. Okay. So to count the digits, we're just going to use a simple if statement. For example, password.length is less than 8 because it has to require more than 8, at least 8 characters. We're just going to say return false because it's not true. So we're going to create a variable counter. We're just going to int digit, and then we're going to initialize it to the have a variable 0. We now want to use a simple if statement. If password, this is the password, the user enters into the password, dot length. Remember from my previous tutorials, dot length is just the length of the password, is less than 8. We're just going to simply say return false. Good. And remember, dot length is a method, so we have to put the open bracket, closing bracket. Now we have to determine if the password contains letters and digits. So we're going to use a math class to determine whether it's a digit or letter. To determine if the password contains only letters and numbers. Password contains only letters and numbers. This will determine if the password contains less than 8 characters. Okay. So to do that, we're going to use a for loop to link through all the passwords and to link through each character or digit. Okay, so I'm going to use a for loop to int I equal to 0, and then I is less than password dot length. Remember, as a method, and then I plus plus. Closing for loop. You can also put closing a statement. So now within the for loop, we're going to if character with a capital C, this character is a class. We're using the character class dot is digit. So this is a method So we're saying whether the characters of the password is a digit. We're gonna put in password dot char at. I'm not sure if I mentioned char, but char is just a character or a letter. So we're linking the passwords and asking if the digit is a character or a letter. And then password.char at is a method. And we're going to put the I because we want to relate this with the for loop. Once it is a digit or a char character, we're going to increment digit. Okay. Now, we're going to use an else if statement. If character dot is uppercase, because sometimes our password can have lowercase and uppercase. We have to take those into consideration, and if is a character that is uppercase or lowercase, we're just gonna say it is true, that is within the password. If it's not a character that is a number, this is digit is a number, or if it's uppercase or lowercase, we're gonna return it as false. So else if character dot is uppercase, we're just gonna put password. Because is uppercase is a method. Password dot char at, and put up the I, and here is our or method. Or we can just copy all this. And we're just going to change it to lowercase. And we're going to simply just say return true. We're going to put brackets in these. I was missing an opening bracket here. So, and I'm also missing a closing bracket. Because we want to link all of it. Okay, so else if works. If it's a digit, it's okay. You just increment the digit. But if it's in uppercase or lowercase, it is still okay. We'll return true. If it's like a star or a percent sign, we have to say everything else. It's gonna return false. Okay, so closing else statement, closing else if statement, closing if statement. Probably need to add in it's very important to get the right amount of opening and closing brackets. So I'm going to open here, open bracket 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. I was missing a closing bracket. Good. So if it's to determine if the password contains only letters and numbers. If it's a number, which is a digit, you increment digit. And then if it's an uppercase or lowercase, we're going to return true. Otherwise, it's going to return false. Now, we have to say, because we're now to meet the third one, the password must contain at least two, L-E-A-S-T, 2. So once we have the counting digit, this digit can be either letters or numbers, just 2 digits, we have to use another if statement which is outside the loop. So if digit is less than 2, which is similar to our password length has to be less than has to be more than 8 characters. The digit is just number. So if digit is less than 2, we're just gonna return false. Oops. Gonna return false. And then if it meets all criteria, return true. Remember, public static boolean is not void, so we have to return something either true or false. This is the ultimate return. Good. So we have met all the 3 criteria now. A character must have at least 8 characters, so it can be either digits or letters. Must consist of only letters and digits, so it cannot be a star or percent sign. A buzzer must can at least 2 digits. Should be 2 digits. Now we can state and write a method if the password is valid or not. So we go under closing valid password. We can go public static void. And we're going to say create a method called correct password. I'm going to call it a string password. So closing correct password method. So now we have the is valid here, is valid method. Within the method we can call another method. So we can go if valid password. I'm going to put in password here because that's what we are identifying. Closing if. We're going to say a valid password with a capitals. Otherwise, if the valid password method does not meet, we have to use the else if, or else, not else if, and write not a valid password. Maybe non-valid? I don't know, non-valid. Not valid, non-valid, not sure, but saying one was a valid password and this is a non-valid password. Good. So we've completed and written all our methods now. The correct password method, a valid method, and an entering method, which is get password. Now we can link it back all into main. So now I just have to create a string password a variable that has a data type of string, and we're just gonna assign password with a lowercase p to get password. Because we wrote the method to get password, we're asking user, this is all the criteria, you have to enter a password that has fit all that. This is going to enter result. Any result is going to return result, and we're just stating that password is equal to result. In order to do that, it's just going to password equal to get password method. And it's that easy. Sending password is the input. And now we can call the correct password, whether it's a valid password or a non-valid password. And within this method, our valid password is being called, whether this password is valid or not. So we can just simply write correct password and put password inside. It is that simple calling the other password. So let's give this a try. So I'm gonna run this again. Let's see if it works. Not valid password because there's not enough. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because there's only 6 characters, not 8. So not non-valid password, which is good. And I'm just gonna test whether special characters is it gonna be valid or not. Non-valid password. Awesome. So our program seems to work. Capital. A valid password. Good. So this is a simple program using methods to determine whether the user enters the password is correct or not. And just a recap, you link all and call all your methods in the main. You can see our main is so short, it's only 3 lines. But our method is quite complicated, so we get the get password method to ask the user to enter a password with all these criteria and enter into result and saying password is equal to get result or get password, which is equal to result. Now we have the is password method, a valid password. Is it if the password is less than 8, we're going to return false and it's going to be not a valid password. We're going to use a for loop and link each digit and use the character class .isDigit method. And because we're linking it for each characters and each character we're to use .char at, which is the method, and we want to put I there to link with the for loop. If it's an isDigit, we're going to increment digit to make sure that there are 2 digits at the end. Else if, because a password can have uppercase and lower cases, we have to use the or. It's not either or and, it's or one of the other, a lowercase or an uppercase. Once one of the criteria is met, we're going to return true. And if there's a % sign or other special characters, we're going to say return false. This is a simple saying if digits less than 2, return false. And if all the criteria has been met, it's going to return true, which is the ultimate return into the valid password. If the valid password is true, usually start with true, we're going to say a valid password. Otherwise, it's a non-valid password. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It is long, but it is very useful. So give this a try and have a great day. Thank you.